It is a show, people. It is a show tonight. Welcome, everyone, to episode 293 of the Constant Calibrating podcast, unless this is some other number, in which case, carry on. As always, I am your host, Josh Silverman, joined by, well, my co-host, Ryan Furster. Justin may be here at some point. We're waiting for him down in that corner. Work called him in, so we'll see if he shows up. But hi, Ryan. I haven't seen you in a very, 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 very long time.
Don't lie, that fool just didn't want to be here because he knew I was going to be here and I was going to bring the fire to the ConCal pod. I was going to make it so. I was going to make it happen. I was going to make it glow.
Ryan's been holding on to that shit for like 8 months, 10 months now.
Yeah, no, really. It's been a very, very long time since I've been on the podcast because we haven't really done it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we're back.
Yeah, last week was it's good to be back. Last week was the big return show. I chatted up Justin. We talked about, a bunch of different things. That episode will be released in edited format soon. It was supposed to go out yesterday, but it's constantly calibrating. Shit goes wrong. But yeah, let's get it past all of that. On this week's show, we are joined by our special guest Angelina, who you may know as HologramDream. I just slurred all my words. I swear I'm not drinking tonight. Angelina of Exato Games Studios. You might remember Angelina from about numerically like 10 episodes ago, but like last year. How are you doing, Angelina? How's your evening treating you?
Good. I go by so many names. I don't blame you for getting tongue twisted. That's a lot to fit in there in one sentence.
It's a lengthy ass sentence, but you know what? I make it work. It's the power I bring to hosting is my ability to hold on to people's names, handles, preferred whatever. I will get it all out in a very overly long, overly wrought sentence.
You'll get used to the warm, tingly sensation.
I don't know where to go with that. We're already on that path of the show. Gotcha. So yeah, Angelina's here because big news, the game she's been working on that we discussed in the last show, ELO Hell, released today from the day we're recording, July 30th. So, Angelina, for people who may not have caught your original appearance, what can you tell us? What is the game? What is ELO Hell? She dropped, didn't she? Oh no! Discord's being a bitch, so let's go into some tech issues we had tonight, just so people can understand the power of this evening. Oh god, Ryan's in several different places. So let's just understand what tonight has been. Okay, let's just have a clarity of conversation, a clarity of thought of what happened today. So normally Angelina and I would do the show via Skype because Discord gave us shit last time.
What?
But Ryan was gonna be on the show, and Ryan hasn't been on the show in a while, and I want to make sure Ryan was on the show, especially because since Justin may not be able to be on the show, I wanted to make sure I had a co-host, someone to work with. Especially in case things go wrong. So, what we did, so we want to make sure Ryan was on the show. So Skype wasn't working for him. It was, if I'm correct, just not detecting any of your stuff, right?
Right, yeah.
Hello,
hey,
welcome back.
Okay,
So
back.
I'm explaining the tech issues for people. So,
Gosh, it's been a day with Discord. Hey.
So I was saying how normally you and I did a show on Discord because not Discord, on Skype, because Discord gave us issues last time, but Skype wasn't working for Ryan, and I needed to make sure I had a co-host in case shit went awry. So we decided to test with Discord, and Discord is not letting you stay in a call for longer than it seems about 10 minutes. It seems like what we're
I'll
working
just talk
with.
Fast. We'll get it all out there.
We'll get it all out. So it's a night. Thank you everyone for bearing with us. The show's called Constant Calibrating. It's my fault for naming it that 7.5 years ago. It's all on me. That being said, Angelina, for people who did not catch your last appearance, tell us a little bit about ELO Hell. What can you tell us? Give us the spiel. In apparently 10 minutes or less.
I know. We wanted to bring something new to the narrative game genre. Like, we are very inspired by Telltale games. We love games like Life is Strange, and we wanted to bring esports as a topic of narrative games, and also to present it in a show that's kind of unique, where you're doing dialogue choices, like a Bandersnatch dialogue tree kind of thing, where you can make choices, but it always loops back around to the main story. And then interspersed in that narrative gameplay, there are also mini games, and then the main meta game, which is like an RTS inside of the game, is what you're trying to go pro in to simulate the esports experience.
Games upon games, different avenues, but I think it's a really cool thing still what you're doing with it. I mean, again, as a person who's, I think I said this last time, narrative gaming is where I started my gaming love, so I like to check out anything that has that, you know, point and clicky adventure game esqueness, visual novelty-ness.
Yeah, this one.
It's also incredibly like nostalgic for PC gamers, I think, especially millennials who grew up with, you know, a lot of games that were basically a collection of mini games, and you're kind of playing your favorite mini games, and we want to take all the mini games in the narrative game and also make kind of a mini leaderboard down the road and have fun with it.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I think the biggest thing that kind of jumped out to me was I myself have been in that ELO MMR kind of hell where you just can't get up the rank ladders. I used to do Overwatch a lot, and just ran into a lot of different pitfalls with that. What are some of the things that the game touches on as far as like things that players can relate to?
So one of the things I think the gang there are several enthusiasts that are like very competitive with each other. So not only are they entering like competitions down the road, but they're also competing against each other, and they get, you know, understandably salty sometimes, especially if they've got like a bet or something at stake.
Sure.
So wanting to be better than your friend maybe is the ELO Hell that sometimes we're in. Like I remember in college, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't beat my one friend at chess. So I was in ELO Hell.
I can't. I've never been much of a competitive gamer aside for a few drunken Halo 3 and Halo Reach experiences. Like I never was like the rank leaderboard person. Briefly tried to get into Rainbow Six Siege, but got that experience burnt out for me. But like I've had a bunch of different close encounters with competitive gaming, but never something in full, I guess you could say.
You gotta work on your sensitivity with.
How's launch day going?
Well, you got some background going on there.
I do?
Yeah, we can hear literally everything going on behind you. Or adjacent, just so you know.
Okay. I'll try to keep it quiet on my end. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. It's again, it's the wonders of, like it was just a lot just suddenly happened. So I was just like, okay.
I just want to make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my roommate just walked in. Sorry, we'll just chop that part out in the editing room.
Oh, you're
Absolutely.
good. You're fucking
We'll fix
I
it in
didn't know
post.
this headphone was so. This is actually the Bitrix headphones. They're really cool. They've got noise canceling. I didn't know that the mic was so sensitive.
Yeah, it wasn't like initially. It was just we like I've heard a car drive by a couple times, but that was like the first time where it was just like, oh, okay, somebody just came home. So
Yeah.
No worries at all.
We really enjoy those deep down personal looks. Yes, slide. What's going on in your apartment?
What's going on with your part? What's going on with your life? What's that experience?
I live
How's
in
your
Seattle,
roommate?
so yeah, living in Seattle, it's pretty difficult to like afford a place on your own. So I live with 3 other people, and we have a puppy. So it's fun. Never a dull moment.
I mean, you got to make do with what you got to make do with. I mean, it's like my wife's out of work right now. For those who haven't, like, Calibrating hasn't done shit in months, so you might be. We touch sometimes a little personal. It might be a loop. My wife's been out of work intentionally for mental health reasons for like 6 weeks, but she keeps getting these job offers in San Francisco. And every single time I'm just like, and for really good work, and she keeps getting these job offers, and I keep saying to her, I'm like, okay, what's the salary they're offering? And then she'll tell me what the salary is, and I'm just like, that's like double what you were making at a nonprofit in Arizona. That would buy us like, that wouldn't buy us one room in like a gas station for San Francisco. Like, holy crap. So it's like always fascinating, the big city, you know, San Francisco, Seattle, kind of how people actually afford to survive.
Oh yeah, the stories you hear, particularly out of San Fran, where apartments are now so expensive that it's cheaper for residents of the city to just Airbnb every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Holy crap! Really?
Well,
I mean, that's what some of my friends do, and they're like, I did the math, and this is cheaper.
yeah, I know. I've heard a lot of stories of that. Well, I mean, there was an article last year, the year before, specifically about San Francisco, that was saying that for a family of 4, which is my situation, you are considered poor if you make less than, I think it was like, if your family makes less than like $500,000 a year or something like that.
Great. Thanks for making me feel bad about myself, newspaper article.
It was like something to that effect, and I'm just, hey, my wife's previous salary, we were living on $37,000 a year in Tempe, Arizona for 4 people. So it's like, it's that's a completely vastly different
You can't
lifestyle.
do that here in Charleston.
Yeah, like so it's like it's the ridiculousness of cost of living around everywhere. But let's get back to ELO Hell. Let's get back to that. So, I enjoyed my time with the game. It just, admittedly, just for transparency, most of my time with the game has been at events and a little bit of time at home. I was looking into potentially streaming it, but every single time I sit down to do that, this is the worst week for streaming for me. So I've not been able to actually like really explore that. But
you played at PAX East, didn't you? I think you played through the entire chair episode.
I played through the entire chair episode. I played through that whole thing at PAX East. I think I had to duck out. You said for an appointment. I think I ducked out. You said like right before I would have been done anyways. If I remember right. Yeah. No. I mean, like I've enjoyed my time with it. Again, I like narrative games. I like different explorations of narrative games. Of that nature. But what overall, the game's been out for a day. Some reviews have been coming out. What's been? Would you say the overall reception?
We are still kind of waiting for more media to come in. I think there's been a lot of good humor surrounding the game. No one I've seen play it hasn't laughed. That's a very awkward sentence. Everyone that I watch play it laughs. So whether they're laughing with us or at us, as long as they're laughing, it makes me happy, and I feel good.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, that's really the basis of it. But if you're making anything that's comedic, as long as you're getting the laugh, I've always kind of felt is important. You hope it's the laugh with you, but, you're getting something out of it. I mean, Ryan's actually a professional comedian here, so maybe he could tell me I'm being an idiot.
No, you're just not funny. So my question, that was a joke. You could laugh at that.
I'll have you know my mom used to say I was no.
Your mom probably told you a lot.
Fuck.
So, like one of the big things that I really enjoy in games is kind of that connection to reality.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sorry, my chair's giving me some problems. I feel like my ass is going to sleep. I really feel like if somebody could translate that into a game somehow that I could relate to, I'd really appreciate that. Angelina, can you suggest anything? I mean, I feel like you've really got your finger on the pulse of the industry. You're just in there. What game should I play if I don't want my ass to go to sleep?
Well, we've all been in one of those 5-hour streams where we're just deathly uncomfortable in a certain region of our bodies. So we made a mini game about keep a streamer or a PC gamer who only games in a wooden chair, like your mom's old living room, dining room chair.
That hits close to home. That was true life. I had a wooden picnic chair.
Yeah, Charnel used to game exclusively in like a wooden kids dining chair thing. I used to game in that because it was at her house. That was so yeah. Was
it because it was low? It was more comfortable? Why specifically a kid's dining room chair?
Because her parents didn't want to spend money. And she still had her child. I am really short. Yes, so she. But no, she has still had her childhood furniture, and while we were dating, they just didn't want to buy.
You gotta shop those garage sales. You can get a little swivel chair, a little office swivel chair for $5 at a garage sale sometime.
She didn't want it. She had her reasons. So
yeah.
But yeah, so
you like what you know. That's okay.
You know what you like. You like what you know. Ryan, I very much appreciate that. Was the best segue in the history of constant calibrating. Like literally,
Yes,
I think that was
thank
the
you.
single greatest one. We will never top that.
You're welcome. I just for some reason it was just on my mind. I can't figure out why.
And it's a rhythm game, so it is so fun. I played it at Twitch Vancouver with my friend, and honestly, we both got really into it. We were both laughing, and there's so many puns. And if you like rhythm games, like Guitar Hero and stuff,
Yeah.
it's very challenging. We're the
I-
Dark Souls of mini games.
The Dark Souls.
Ooh.
That's a big statement you got going there. I mean, I'd like to see someone put that to the test.
That was some of our early press feedback. Was we have always had the challenging mini games, and the RTS strategy game inside of the narrative game is also quite challenging. It's got a 20-minute tutorial, so people that like MOBAs and strategy games, I think, will really enjoy it.
Good. So, so tell me more about what your. Actually, I got a different one. So, on the topic of the reception stuff like that, you guys actually. Not many companies will share in their press releases, and their press briefings, an article that has the title. The name of their game is the most cringy game of 2019. But you guys actually shared an article, and how does that feel? Like, what's that like? Having that? So that was from Kotaku Australia, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I clicked on it and I started reading it, and I had tears in my eyes. I was laughing so hard.
Yeah, no, I mean that was my experience as well. I was like,
I just have to share this joy because I'm laughing. I want other people to laugh. No press is bad press is my thinking.
yeah, I mean it's if you're being the worst thing would be if you're being ignored. That would be the worst thing you could have. But at least at least somebody's writing about it.
Yeah, he's a gifted writer. I think it was well written.
Mhm.
It wasn't it was harsh, but not what's the word I'm looking for? Just belligerently harsh.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't attacking you. It was citing stuff about the game, and it was still talking about aspects of it. It's kind of the way I interpreted it, at least.
Exactly, and also esports is something that's still new, and a lot of different things are coming out of it. And here comes a narrative game that's trying to tackle the stories that are happening in esports, and that's no easy challenge, right?
No, I mean, you're trying to tackle stories in a new medium, a new space that nobody really knows what's quite going on. I mean, there's still debates to this day about how you properly spell esports. Like, that's literally how new of an industry it is, that everyone agrees on how to spell it, but yet nobody agrees on how to spell it, kind of thing. So, of course, these new stories, coming out, you guys are pulling a lot of stuff in, and an exploration of that. Plus, I think also because the way most of the original pitches when I used to get emails about this was referring to it as like a sitcom, and I don't know. The way I look at it is, aren't sitcoms inherently cringy to an extent? So like, isn't that like kind of properly what I don't know? To me, like kind of properly what you want to get out of it, almost with the style of humor. I mean, you don't want it to be like like some like derogatory kind of cringy, but like the kind of humor that makes you kind of go like, oh, okay, kind of thing. And that's kind of how I felt about it when I played it, the portion I played.
We did really have streamers in mind when we made the game. I think more than anything, a huge part of what the producer and what I personally, the part of the fandom with esports for us is the streamers who bring the game to life, who we love to watch in action. So we really just wanted to talk about that kind of stuff.
I think that makes sense. I think it's a good thing to tackle, and again, I think you guys are doing it in a fun way. Hopefully, time will tell that that's the reception that it got. But
right, I was
just going to say really quick. It's nice to bring up subjects, even if they are cringy, and get a conversation going with your audience.
Conversation's good. Conversation's key.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say, is that if the audience for the game enjoys it, despite any kind of reviews or anything like that, because I mean all the reviews I've seen for it so far, like there's been good ones. I mean that's how it is with every game. But I think the biggest thing is that people enjoy it, and like we were talking about earlier, as long as you're laughing at it, or the people you're playing with, that you're streaming it for, are laughing at it, then I mean, what does it matter?
It's entertainment, so if you're having fun, you're having fun. Oh, and we've been joined by Arcurian Age in the chat. He's an artist on the game.
Awesome.
And he's had a lot of input and feedback into the game mechanics and gameplay, and especially for the RTS game, Echo Star.
Cool. No, I just the other thing on the art style thing is like, I mean, how did like the specific style you guys went through? And this would be Arcurian if you want to answer in chat, but while waiting, Angelina, like how did you guys come to the art style you went with?
We wanted to have a multicam sitcom style setup where it did when we wanted to do nice like bright colors, so it's like cheerful, inviting, relaxing, but kind of like nostalgic for sure. We wanted to hit the 90s sitcom aesthetic.
Yeah, which I think it does accomplish. So I think that's cool. So yeah, like kind of is anything else you feel people need to know about the game before they get into it? Any other specific information related to it that we may be missing out on?
I would say that the game itself is kind of an interesting experience to try to put into words. It has a few things going on, so you kind of have to be willing to try the RTS and play through it and not be discouraged by the tutorial, because there is a lot to learn about the game.
Okay.
Before you can actually understand it and have fun with it.
So get yourself used to it, actually give yourself time to adjust. Don't just make snap judgments.
It's kind of a challenging convention game to have, because usually people at conventions have like a 5-minute attention span window. And even just the narrative demo playthrough portion at conventions was already getting up to 20 minutes. And then if we wanted to add the meta game, we are looking at, double that time. So it's really for the at-home player to relax and delve into.
I mean, I think that in general, for at-home players and stuff, I think that's always good advice on most games, is don't make snap judgments. I mean, that's kind of what I just try to do in general. But with gaming, I find that's a useful thing. But now what you're saying about conventions actually makes a lot of sense about trying to come up with a shorter demo for the attention spans, because I know when I have an appointment and like I'll sit down like expecting like 30, maybe 45-minute appointment, that's what I've mentally scheduled out, and developer's like, okay, so this demo will take you about 90 minutes to 2 hours, and I'm like, straight up like, no thank you. Like I can't sit in whatever chair you have on this convention floor. I can't imagine needing that much information for what I do for podcasting. Like, I'm nicer about it than this, but I'm just like, that's just nuts to me to expect. I mean, I know some people are into that. They want as much time as possible but for snap judgment, not snap judgment, I just said that, but for like judging things in the moment of a convention, 10-15 minutes is that sweet spot, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have a question. I like to get to know the folks that are, kind of making the games that I'm playing with everything. And so
how dare you?
Age, if they're, if he's still around. My question for you is are the people on the team, are they especially competitive? Does that kind of bleed through into the game? And if so, do you
absolutely.
have any? Do you have any kind of examples of where you guys got really competitive with each other over something, whether it was game related or not, and just I just like hearing dev horrors. Give me the dirt. Give me the good stuff.
I think anytime there needs to be an executive decision, even if you're at an indie game studio and there is a producer and there is, I guess, I don't want to say like a rank, but there is kind of, a system where people have authority. But our studio, we just duke it out like to the death. If someone wants to make, an executive decision on something, like people feel very passionately about their opinions. So throughout the development process, I think no one defers to anyone. That we all fight for what we want. In the office, whether it's like what to do with the supply closet or whatever it is day to day, like we definitely make our opinions known, and nobody is holding back.
Blue and black ink. That's it. We don't need green. We don't need red.
Yeah. Basically.
What's this cyan bullshit over here?
And I think everyone in the art world thinks that they have really good taste too. And obviously we can't all have good taste. I think if that's a Jerry Seinfeld quote or not, but so it's hard to tell people, I'm not even talking about game development here. I'm just talking about my own experience with people. It's hard to tell people that they don't have good taste or that they could improve a style or the way they're doing something. So that's very human, and we deal with that, but in a very civilized way, I would say. We're all great, mellow people.
Makes sense. Just for anyone wondering why I'm looking at my phone, I am Justin, just host of the podcast. I'm trying to talk him into actually coming on the show. He's coming up with the excuse that he has no idea what we talked about yet, so he doesn't want to come in. I'm calling you out right now.
Yeah. We got 2 responses from our Carrying Age in the chat.
Good. Let's get to that.
Was in regards to the art style we were talking earlier. Arcarian says, John discussed the original art plan before I got here. They were aiming to create a cell shading and a softer style for a sitcom.
Kind of what Angelina said. Makes sense.
Yeah. And then he's also saying, we had a great time going to PAX and competing with each other to try to make the person we coach do better than the other person's player. That is true. At PAX East 2017, Arcarian Age joined us on the convention route, and we showed people the earlier iteration of Echo Star, which is now completely different, but it was really fun watching people get into Echo Star. And there was a lot to the initial instructions, but there was this 8-year-old kid that just sat down and he just totally defeated the AI within seconds.
Wow.
He was playing against the dev. Yeah, he was playing against the producer, and he just won instantaneously. And he was like, "Oh, I really like this and this and this," and then just left. And his mom was like, "Yeah, he's just like that."
The power of youth and the power of
my goodness, that was something else. That really blew me away.
I just love the idea of this kid who just destroys developer and just makes some comments and just walks off into the night. And it's just okay, who is this mysterious stranger? 20 years later, he's like the head of Electronic Arts or some shit, and he's
winning these Fortnite tournaments.
There you go.
He's making $3 million.
God,
that kid should do that. Honestly,
he should. Also, $3 million. It just blows my mind that is a prize. My favorite thing about that, there was someone posted. I remember somebody posted a picture of the guy who got 5th place, hugging his dad because he was sad that he only got 5th, but then the prize winning for that was $900,000 for 5th place, and I was just like, yeah. It blows my mind where this has gone to.
You can forget $3 million. I don't think in my entire lifetime on this planet, if all the money I've ever spent in my entire life or earned was all put in a giant pile, I don't think I would have $1 million, let alone $3 million.
Yeah,
there's taxes too. Taxes are automatically going to take a big chunk of it.
It'll take a big chunk, no, for certain. But still,
it's an international. It's an international competition, so maybe there's weird tax laws.
Yeah, they might be able to skirt away with some of it, but still, yeah, tax is going to eat up a chunk of those winnings. But the fact is, I look at esports stuff from 10 years ago, where people would be lucky, the first prize would be maybe 50 to 70 grand for a major tournament. Now people who are just playing, they're just placing in the tournament, are getting 50 grand. And it's just it's crazy to see what the prize winnings and how things happen. Justin is saying in chat, not in the actual podcast, but in chat, I was happy to have $30 when I was 13.
That was a burn right there.
Yeah, that was a oh jeez. Arcarian's referencing there's an old Gary Larson cartoon that's been coming back up in Reddit where parents are imagining their kid getting game jobs. It was a joke back then. It was exactly. My mom said to me, one of the last things she said before she died years ago was one of the happiest things she ever saw was that I actually went to college for game design, because she thought gaming was the future and that was what made sense for me. And I dropped out 6 months later. But because it wasn't for me, the specific way the way that particular school did things. But still, she was a person who actually really heavily believed that gaming and stuff was the future. She just had no fucking clue how to turn that into a careerable thing for her kid. Because who the hell did it? I mean, even now, we don't really know exactly how.
Yeah, I think I have a decent understanding of the basic back end stuff in esports. Like, obviously, there's a lot of infrastructure, and different organizations are pretty much like a typical, almost like an indie game developer model.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously different, but like any small business that grows and grows.
I mean, you gotta have the small business as like it's the same base stuff, and then you just gotta build into your particular industry and figure out the nuances of it. As someone who's been trying to make their way over into the PR influencer management side of things for their career, it's an interesting world to understand, particularly the nuances between game development, well, AAA game development, indie game development, PR studios, and then esports stuff. Like literally the same job title under any of those 4 different things are all vastly different things. They're
incredibly different.
The knowledge you need and the understanding, it's not just being like you're applying for an esports job. It's not just like yeah, I know who these 10 players are and how the basics of the game work. It's like then they start throwing terms at you and these things, and I'm just sitting there like, have a nice day.
And you go up on stage at PAX and you commentate, and you get a lot of those kinds of gigs. So tell me what that's like.
For those kind of things, I mean, that's a whole other experience. I mean, I've done those. I've done those kind of gigs. Not never getting paid for any of them, but going up on stage, doing panels, doing live podcasts and stuff. I mean, that experience of the process. I've actually been fortunate that I haven't had to do much in the way of auditioning for those kind of things. Usually it's actually a podcast guest who reaches out to me and asks if I want to do something. I know a few people who do the paid things and stuff like that, and the process is mind-blowing what they have to do. Actually, on that subject, I do. I don't normally always plug other podcasts, but Greg Miller of Kind of Funny interviewed Trisha Hirschberger on their show, We Have Cool Friends, like just 2 weeks ago, and one of the major topics was about the process of auditioning to be moderating panels and doing those kind of things. So I would actually recommend that. That's a really cool topic. I just have a weird journey with that. So I don't have the traditional experience of that kind of thing. So like speaking of events and stuff like that, let's talk PAX West. What do you guys have planned? I mean, for the convention, the gaming convention invading where you live.
Just working.
Yeah, I love PAX West. I love PAX East because it's just like seeing all my friends again, and everyone comes to town, and I have a ton of people, staying at my place, crashing on couches, and it's like a big week-long sleepover where we're all really busting our asses. Everyone, whether it's a streamer getting their business cards out there, or a game developer working beside me at the booth, or someone that's working at Microsoft and running that whole mega area. There's always so much going on and so much I want to stop by and see. It's just always super overwhelmingly fun and crazy, and I would like to have some relaxed nights at my place and try to invite some people over and maybe have a couple of relaxed house parties, enjoy the backyard, and enjoy Seattle living while everyone's in town.
I mean, I think that's great. I mean, that sounds like a great plan. Jesus. Hold on a sec. I've just, sorry, I just got a ridiculous thing in the chat. I'm just gonna, anyways, that just, there's a wall of text appeared. I'm like, oh, is that actually important? No, it's not. Anyways, so it sounds like, I think that sounds like a, sorry, I just want to get rid of this. It sounds like a great plan of action you got going there. Sorry for the people, the audio listeners. We had a ridiculous thing in chat pop up. So I think it's a great plan of action you got there. PAX West is my favorite event there is. Like, my absolute favorite event in the world. Like, I enjoy E3. I did my first PAX East and South this year. But West has always been just this, like, experience where, I don't know. It's almost like a weird coming home for me. So... so I like the idea of how you guys are just, you're home, so you're gonna do your thing. It's It's good. I like it.
Hmm.
Just trying to think what else. Like, as far as anyone listening right now, we'll talk more PAX West plans. We're constantly calibrating, probably on another podcast. Justin and I will be there. I don't know exactly what we're doing, other than the standard meetings. My wife will actually be there. She hasn't been to an event in 7.5 years. We tried to make it work, Ryan.
I know. I really wanted to go, but I just couldn't get off work because I'm going on a big ass vacation in December.
Ooh, what you doing?
Excited. Actually going on a cruise for the first time ever, so I'm excited about that. My wife's mom and stepdad just decided to take everybody on a cruise for their big birthday. I'm not gonna disclose the number, but yeah, we're going on a cruise, so I'm excited about that. But I have to take off.
Yeah, so that makes perfect sense. Yeah, so I mean, we're not going to have you at PAX West, but there's more events. There's always more events in the future.
Oh, there's one almost every month, it seems like.
I really think I'd rather go to PAX, to be honest.
I
didn't say no. I didn't say that, wife. I'm recording a podcast. Get back in the bedroom.
Yeah, so
Sorry, he does that.
It happens. It happens to the best of us. I know I kind of feel the same way. PAX West, as far as events go, is just one of those ones I love to go. But there's Angelina, you're right. There's events all the damn time. I mean, just what was it? I feel like my feed is covered in at least like 2 to 3 gaming events like every 2 weeks, every 2 weekends. It seems like, and not even like small ones always. Like there's like overlapping like mid-level to major ones happening all the damn time, it seems like.
And I want to go to them all. They're all so fun. The small conventions are like intimate and you get to know people and really slow down and talk. And then the big conventions, it's like wonderful chaos. So I really, would love to have the energy and the time and the money in the world to go to them all, but you pick and choose.
Yeah, you pick and choose which ones make the most sense for you. Like for me, PAX West is my essential one, and I figure it out from there. I mean, I live in Phoenix, and I wouldn't consider Phoenix Comic-Con anywhere in my priorities, but I still end up there every year for some reason. Because it's just where it's over there. Like I could just go there. But yeah, so I just want to think. What was one more thing? There was one more thing I wanted to say. No, I thought that was in the PAX West stuff. So, what else other than PAX West leading into do you feel winding down this summer? Because we're kind of getting to the end of things in vastly different parts of this country. How are you winding down for the remainder of as we head into August?
Yeah, we got a really late summer in Seattle, so it's just now getting hot here. And Amazon Prime had these $50 kayaks, so that whenever I need to decompress, I always head out on the water.
Awesome.
I wish I could do stuff like that. We have a lake here, and I always think to myself, we should buy like some kind of boat thing for this lake.
They're so cheap.
Yeah.
Inflatable products, and they always just have like little hand pumps. It takes no time at all to inflate. I can't speak highly enough about these things.
We just dropped an ass load of money on camping gear because apparently my family camps now. So that'll be next. That's
I would pay money to see that.
I mean,
Live stream that.
I've heard we have a very bad signal, but I am planning a lot of videos. I've already told Charnel that you have to deal with a very special version of me because I am tiny Jewish New York boy who legitimately, completely and utterly legitimately believed that camping were punishments parents did to their kids. I thought that was like one of the worst punishments you could do to a child till I was about 25. I didn't know people legitimately until I was almost in my mid-20s. I didn't know that was a legitimate thing. But I'm actually excited. My 4-year-old's super into the idea of it. So we're going off to the woods, and I'm going to be taking a lot of pictures and horrible stuff. Fun time. Speaking of conventions, TwitchCon weekend, I'll be doing that. So I will be missing out on that event because I will be in the woods. Because I didn't look at a calendar when we scheduled shit.
That sounds. You guys sound like you're having much more interesting plans than I do. Like for real, it's so hot over here and so humid all the time in South Carolina that like just walking outside just feels like I'm wading through a bowl of beer. It's rough. And I mean, we're in a nice spot too. I mean, there's beaches all over the place. Charleston's a very historic city. So I'm hoping to maybe get out and do some touristy things and do like a staycation.
Staycations are really nice.
I need to do more of them. We've only done one for our my wife and I did for our anniversary right after Rory was born, so he was a few months old, so we did like a staycation thing, found like a nice resort over here. It was good. I need to do more of those. We tend to just blow money on going out of town and whatnot. Alright, so I think that we're kind of at a wrapping up point now. Angelina, thank you so much for I love the gift, Ryan. Angelina, thank you so much for joining us for this show. Appreciate it for like the first guest episode back after 8-9 months off. It was nice.
I kept badgering you. I really wanted to come back on the show because I had so much fun last time, and we talked about it like 12 times, and here we are. So we did it.
We finally did it. I mean, you were the last person we had scheduled when I announced. I was like, yeah, actually, we're not doing this because like your image for this week's episode, I've had the image made since January, pretty
funny?
much. So I just literally just changed the text. And I'm like, you know what? Because I was like, I'll just make something new. I kind of want to do a new style for these images, and I'm like, F it, let's just go with this. This will work. And I already got it pre-made. Just change out the text, and we're good to go. So no, I appreciate it. I love talking to you. You're one of my favorite people at conventions. I mean, one of my actually just a highlight story. Like one of my favorite things was at PAX East. I haven't been on a show, so I haven't even tell the story. I spent an hour sitting in the hotel lobby, one of the hotels, just writing like Twitter DMs and text messages to the people like, all right, who's free? Who wants dinner? Who's free? Who wants dinner? And just nobody's responding. I said, screw this. Justin doesn't get in for like another couple hours. I'm just going to wander off into the wilderness and see if I can find food. I leave the hotel. I get about a block down the road, and who do I bump into? Angelina here.
With the whole crew, and you just joined in, and it was so much fun.
And it was a blast, and ended up having a really nice time with a bunch of indie devs. Went out for dinner and tried to play.
There was people from New Zealand, and we all had Japanese food. It was like a traditional like noodle restaurant. It was good.
It was a place, and I personally would have never I would never personally gone to this place because
I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, and you brought me to, and it was good food. I enjoyed it. It was a good experience, some good drinks. Before I wandered off into the night because Justin's flight got in. And yeah, it was a really cool night. So, because Angelina's one of these.
We talked a lot about, serendipity that night. That was, it happens at conventions where everything, you try to plan it, but then what really happens is better than what you plan.
Oh, always. For real. I think Ryan was at the first convention where I actually had a realization about this, because I used to be the person, severe fear of missing out. I would not leave a convention, no matter how bored I was, no matter how little I had to do. I wouldn't leave until the last possible moment for fear of just missing, like, oh, if I stay a little bit longer, I might, I might have this opportunity, because literally the first convention, one of the early conventions I went to, I didn't hang out with people long enough, and they ended up bumping into Stephen Amell of Arrow and going out for drinks with him. He invited them out for drinks. And if I'd hung out just like 5 minutes longer, I would have experienced that. So like it turned this weird fear of missing out thing. But then around the time Ryan started going to events, I had this realization that I'm like, you know what? I'm always where I need to be. So I'm just going to, if I wander off into the night, I wander off into the night, and whatever I'm supposed to do, I'm supposed to do. I'm not a believer in fate.
We wind up at industry parties we're not even supposed to be at.
Every RTX, I end up at the industry party. I should not be there any years. I under no circumstances should I be in those parties, but here we are every time.
That's awesome.
Smile and nod.
That was that's my favorite story of. I'm gonna tell. I don't know if she's in chat anymore, but Small Spurb, our buddy Christine, last PAX West. She's like, I got invited out by someone to go to a bar, so I'll see you guys later. And I suddenly get a text from her an hour later. It's like, holy shit! I think I just wandered into Jackie Collins' birthday party. And for those who don't know, Jackie Collins, major person in the industry and marketing, and she has very exclusive birthday parties. And Christine just happened to wander into that, so it's just like. it's a talent of constant calibrating people and constant calibrating associates to just end up where we maybe aren't supposed to be, but damn it, we're gonna have a good time and make the best of those situations and the serendipity of it all.
Having industry
Thank you so
people
much for having me on. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So just for one final time, where can people find you? Where can people check out? Where can people find you? Where can people find the game? All the information, all the plugs, drop them.
Sure. So we are on Steam. If you search for ELO Hell game, we're on Steam. Today is our launch day, so we're super excited. Go check us out. If you can't buy it, please wishlist it because it really helps us on the algorithms and with visibility. So please support your local indie devs and help us out. And yeah, that's it. Just Exato Games on Twitter as well and elohellgame.com.
Perfect. I think that's awesome. And if you're interested, people in like narrative gaming stuff like that, and this kind of like this fresh stories in the world of esports, I really recommend giving the game a shot. Go check it out. And obviously, great group of people because I can thumbs up. That being said, Constant Calibrating. So for us, thank you all for joining us this week. The Constant Calibrating podcast is live every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Usually, today was the night of technical issues, but traditionally we are live at that time. You can find it right here on mixer.com/ConCalPod. We also do a weekly show Wednesday nights, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, the Catch All Gaming Podcast. It's where you can find gaming news and stuff, hosted by Justin, co-hosted by myself. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/constantcalibrating, Twitter at ConCalPod. I'm at Bear Punch. Ryan is at Real Ryan Firster. I feel like every time Ryan's on a show, there's a completely different Twitter handle or some such. I think Ryan's frozen. Check I think so, at least. Check Instagram at instagram.com/constantcalibrating. Come chat with us on Discord at constantcalibrating.com/discord. And please make sure to leave us a review wherever you're able to. It really does help get the podcast in front of more listeners, as discussed last week. Apparently, that's how we could get E3, guaranteed E3, well, not guaranteed, quote unquote, E3 media badges based on our reviews on iTunes. Who knew?
Oh, great.
Yeah, who knew about that?
I'll make sure to drop you guys a review as well.
I appreciate that. Yeah, iTunes, Spotify help the most. With that, we bid you a good sign off.